Welcome to the Getting High on Leadership series featuring Paul Karasik. Paul is one of America's top management consultants helping leaders succeed. He is the author of 9 books, including Sweet Persuasion and Brilliant Thoughts and Provocative Questions. His insights appear regularly in major publications, and he is one of the most sought-after executive coaches. Paul founded the American Seminar Leaders Association and the Psychedelic Institute of Los Angeles. He is a popular speaker at national conferences and has been on stages across all 50 states and internationally. Paul's work addresses the question, how can we transform conflict in business into collaboration? With decades of experience in management, leadership, and psychedelics, he brings a unique perspective on personal and societal growth. In this series, we'll be discussing his latest book, Getting High on Leadership, The Leader's Guide to Higher Consciousness. We'll be exploring the concepts, techniques, and mindset required to revolutionize leadership. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Getting High on Leadership series. I am your host, Rob Sanchez, and we're joined by Paul Karasik here, who is the author of Getting High on Leadership. And he and I are making our way through this book, our winding journey through conscious leadership. And today's section is called Taming the Tiger. Welcome, Paul. Where can we begin with this beast of a tiger?
Yeah, well, today we're going to kind of look at a chapter that keys off of the last chapter, which was Leaders are Healers. And the idea being that, when people are hurting, they're not effective. And you could look at that in any kind of a context. You could look at it like if an athlete is hurting, they're not going to be as good, right? If they're in trouble. If people are hurting emotionally, they're not going to be as effective. They're going to be distracted. And so the personal state of the team is really, it's not little stuff. It's not small talk. What'd you do this weekend? How are you feeling? That's not small talk. That's big talk, because when that stuff is dominating the energy of the person on the team, their effectiveness, their results, their productivity, all that stuff gets diminished, right? Just logically.
Yeah, as that morale sinks for whatever reason, everything else starts to follow, huh?
Well, if a person isn't feeling good, how can they show up for what's required, whatever it is? If a mom isn't feeling good, a mom is a leader, as I said in the first chapter. If a mom isn't feeling good or a dad isn't feeling good, it's hard for them to be present to do their job as a mom, dad, leader, whatever the case may be. So on some level, we have to take an interest in that. Then we have people, so that's when leaders are healers. Then in this chapter, we're looking at taming the tiger. Who is the tiger? That's the question.
Right, or what?
Or what is the tiger, right? Yeah, exactly. And in this case, when we refer to the tiger, we refer to that person who's angry, who's a disruptor, who is making things more difficult for whatever the initiative is, getting in the way. That's the tiger. That person,
the obstacle,
the threat, the threat to the mission, the purpose, what you're doing, what you want to accomplish. And it's so easy to get angry and say, "Oh, come on, just straighten up. I know you don't feel good, but let's get it done." But a lot of times that person is angry.
Yeah, something has changed within them that your words themselves are no longer getting the job done as far as achieving that end goal. I think that's where this chapter comes in, and kind of an analogy here, but looking at trying to solve that so that you can have that cross that finish line together as a team once again, and at least turn the focus back on achieving the goal. You can never maybe right the wrongs, that someone's feeling or help them fully with their lives, but you could at least change the way that you're communicating or the way that you're trying to work with this tiger of a human, like we all are, I guess, with different things going on in our lives, that you would update or change your actions, how you're working with this beast, and not necessarily look to the beast or the problem to change themselves, huh?
Exactly. You hit it right on the head, Rob. It's how do we, when somebody's angry like that, and and in the case of, it's a matter of healing. It's not a matter of opposition or they're against you. And to see this in terms of healing. So how do you heal the person that's really off track, that's angry, not only not contributing, but being an obstacle to the rest of the team? This is the issue in this chapter. And what we're proposing is through what you said, not through anger of, come on, just do it, or vacuous motivational stuff, which to me is a joke, just buckle down, you can do it.
Put another poster on the wall, right?
Yeah, another poster on the wall. Like that stuff is just, and I've been accused of that role in my life, and I really abhor it. It's not anything I'm proud of. That stuff doesn't work when you're hurting. It's annoying is actually what it is. Don't tell me how to feel. I feel crummy.
It feels like irreverent almost.
Like you're
really?
doubling
Let me
down
just put that away.
Just put it's really almost an insult when you say just forget about it. No, I'm hurting. And so what we're saying in this chapter is understanding, gentleness, approaching the person, understanding that they're hurting, and approaching them in a way where it's you got to get offline to get back online again. In other words, you can't talk in the context of the job. You have to talk personally. And even if you don't talk about the issue, I'm not saying talk about your team members' personal issues. That's not what I'm saying. You have to get interested in their personal state of how they're feeling.
And that's something that cannot be feigned, right?
No. When it is, again, it's abrasive, it's offensive. We've all seen it. It's the flight attendant as you're leaving the plane. Thank you for driving, flying. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for flying Delta. Thank you. It doesn't mean anything. You just say, well, thank you. Whatever.
But it's not how you want to lead. You don't want your leadership to be compared to that level of communication.
No. So what I'm suggesting is when somebody's angry, when somebody's not performing well, that's the time to take an interest in their consciousness, And
it's actually the sign that it's time to dig in.
It's time to dig in and say, I know, what can I do to help, or whatever the case may be, and you have different relationships as a leader with different members of the team. Some people you could be comfortable with. You know them, you hang out with them, you go to their houses, you know each other's kids, and others are more distant. So there's different levels of comfortability. So I'm not in this chapter, I'm not attempting to give you, here's a technique to deal with that.
Right. It's not a formula, more outlining the problem and the potential solution to be had.
No, because they're all different. The universal quality is take an interest in the needs of the team, and they'll take care of you. And we call that altruistic egotism. Take an interest when they come in and they look a little, gee, how you feeling? How's everything? Just that common decency that make us human. And you see that drained from so many corporate situations. With corporate speak and corporate action.
Or it gets deprioritized, with everything else going on. If there are other pressures or stakeholders or, corporate fires to put out, I think people can forget about that. And it can never sometimes it never comes back once you stop doing that within a culture, or once a leader kind of
Oh, the interest
lets that fall.
in the
Yeah.
personal part. Hmm. Yeah, you're right about that. That's true. Once it's out of it, it's always out of it. And
Until someone comes and tries to rattle the bars again.
another leader, yeah, that knows that this interaction is the core for teamwork. It's the core for communication, exchange to optimize results and everything else. So,
I've definitely seen teams with a tiger within the team. I don't know. I can't say maybe that somebody was the tiger, but there definitely was this tension and a tiger that halted progress for the team, or would tear it
mhm.
apart internally until it gets split up, which, I mean, from the outside, maybe from the inside, it feels like you're getting this like ego kind of battle in, and you're trying to state your claim. But from the outside, your customers see crickets, right? They see nothing because you're not getting anything done anymore. And so I think it's maybe wise to look at within your own teams or within your own leadership situations to identify any tigers maybe that need to be soothed or worked with.
Well, you usually you know who they are. usually,
They
usually,
typically are outspoken as well as
yeah,
causing the problem.
yeah. They're usually roaring or whatever tigers do about something, complaining, and they're hurting. And that's the bottom line, and that's the point of what we want to bring out here, is that understanding that and approaching it from that point of view. No, it's like trying to approach drug addiction from the point of view of just stop doing it. You know, like what? Like Nancy Reagan, just say no.
It's not recognizing
No, there's no
the
just say
scope of
no.
the issue here. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like just say no. Like so, you're saying, hey, just feel better. You're at work now. I know you have some personal problems, or maybe you have a physical problem you're dealing with, or whatever.
Yeah.
But just say no. Just come here and just be happy and engaged and productive, and it's just not realistic. You know,
Yes, yeah, and you have to
I
deal with that too. As the team scales, this problem can scale as well. So I think getting good at it at a smaller team level, or within other projects before moving into a professional realm or trying to do anything more serious may be helpful. Right, try to build up those skills.
I it's a constant learning. It's a practice. It's something you're going to get better at. It's
Yeah,
it's intuitive. It's creative. It's artistic. Yet it's structured. It's complicated. And of how to approach it. And there's no formula. It's just something that you have to get good at and get better at. I always think of the story about the nurses who were busy on the floor getting the drugs in order and the different pharmaceutical products that they keep on the floor in order. And then they were putting it in stock and taking all the numbers and doing everything. And all of a sudden, the bell rang that one of the patients in the hospital floor needed some attention. And the one nurse turned to the other nurse and said, "Geez, if it wasn't for those damn patients, we could get some work done here."
yeah. You're missing the focus, or the forest for the trees, however that quote
The
goes,
mission,
right?
yeah, the mission,
Yeah.
and there's connection with this analogy here, in the sense that there's a connection. Don't get lost in the small stuff. Don't get lost in what you think is the big stuff, because it's really the small stuff, and vice versa.
And kind of looking at why do you think that's so big or so important, or why is this office politics battle so worth your effort, or energy? Sometimes it's not.
It's not. No, no, it never is. But uh, your job as a leader is simple: is to create that peaceful team, like we talked about, to be peaceful, to not be, to bring understanding to these
Right.
situations. Maybe
Yeah.
even there's so much you can do off this simple concept, right? The action steps roll out right from it.
When conflict or tension or something presents itself like that, it's easy maybe in the tiger analogy to run for the spear and a torch, and try to handle that problem and
Right.
get really tense and excited and probably worry people along the way as you go to handle this. And I think the story in this section here explains the alternative very nicely, and how to at least think outside the box when it comes to solving those problems, and approach them with care and kindness.
Care and kindness, and know that underneath it all, there's hurt, there's pain. And
Yes.
when you approach somebody knowing that they're in pain, it's the right thing, the right word, the right action. It just evolves so much more naturally than approaching them like, you're somebody who's in the way of what I want to accomplish, and get in line. And there's no, it just doesn't work, and this taking a breather and saying, like, this person is creating some situations here that aren't that good, but it's because they're hurting. And now, with compassion, with empathy, with sympathy, with understanding, there's a possibility of taming the tiger.
Right. And I think those four words, compassion, understanding, empathy. There was one more in there. I think it was caring. Those words often appear in mission statements or in value statements for companies. It's funny how often you'd see that kind of verbiage, and how difficult it is to take that value statement or mission statement into reality and really distill it within your culture or delegate it among your team and leadership.
Yeah.
It's a human obstacle to overcome. So if your business is like this, or if your company's like that, don't feel bad, but definitely realize that there's more to do. There's more work to do to embody that mission statement, rather than spend some time every fourth quarter honing and refining it.
Yeah, I think you're right. Sometimes companies, if they would just deal with the issue instead of writing a mission statement, if like like I know little small companies, where people are treated really nicely. There's a restaurant just up when you see the dishwasher kick the dog out at the back of the restaurant. It started in the front. It started when the boss came in and he was angry with the maitre d', and then the maitre d' talked bad to the bartender, and then the bartender talked bad to the waiter or waitress, and then the waiter or waitress talked bad to the busboy, and then the busboy talked bad to the dishwasher, and then the dishwasher went out back and kicked the dog. And so it all began with the leader who walked in that day and said, blah, 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 blah. Why don't you guys, you're doing a terrible job. And then boom, 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 boom. Now imagine we're saying in this chapter, the leader approaches it from the diametrically opposed point of view and comes in with caring, with love, with understanding, with concern.
It causes that same cascading effect.
You're going to have that same cascading effect throughout the organization. So I think I think we got the core of this chapter.
Definitely, folks. Follow along with us throughout the series, and we'll see you guys in the next section. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Getting High on Leadership series. If you have any questions, you can comment below or send them in via email to paul@paulkarasik.com. Follow him on Instagram at PK_the conversation. Find out more at wholesalerinstitute.com and psychedelic-awakening.com. The Getting High on Leadership series is produced by Rob Sanchez and Apartment 113, which can be found at apartment113.com and followed on Instagram at APT_113.